fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. It has been said that when God closes a door, she opens a window. And I recently had the opportunity to test this theory out firsthand in my own life. Many of you know that I've been going through a lot of major transitions lately. My job is changing, my living place is changing, my relationship is changing, and there are some major changes happening in my career. I'm starting graduate school. I don't even know where I'm going to be living next month. Part of this transition is that my partner, Brian, had to go down to California to prepare for his own move to California. And before he left, for 2 weeks, he gave me a little bit of information about his trip, where the extra groceries were, how to take care of the cats in more detail, because they're his cats, and how to break into the house if I happen to lock myself out. For some reason, he gave me that in really specific detail. You go around the back, you get the tall ladder, you take it around to the bedroom window, and if you're very lucky, you can climb up 20 feet, shimmy the screen out, and throw yourself into our bed. I didn't really listen very closely because he's the one who locks himself out, and I'm not that absent-minded. We've lived in this house for a year, and I've never locked myself out, so I kind of let him go on. I didn't really pay very close attention. And he left on a Tuesday, and I went to work, and then I came to Toastmasters, and I was all uplifted from Toastmasters, and I got home about 8:30. And my friend Georgia was supposed to come over, and we were going to have a really fun girls' slumber party now that I had the house to myself. So she was planning on getting there about 9 o'clock. I got home, I walked in the house, I set my keys on the table, I set my phone on the table. The cat came inside and started asking for dinner, and I thought, I'm going to take the compost out first. It's kind of smelly, I have a guest coming over, I'm going to take the compost out. So I went and got the compost, and I walked outside and I shut the door, and I had just kind of a funny feeling. And I went back around behind the house, I dumped the compost out into the compost bin, and I came back around and I grabbed the door handle, and nothing happened. And my funny feeling was confirmed. So I was standing there in the boot room, looking in the window at my keys on the table, and my phone on the table, and the cat sitting by the window looking at me rather accusingly, like, why won't you come in and feed me right now? We're standing there, I'm here, it's dinner time. And I felt helpless. I couldn't open the door, and I couldn't let the cat escape or give the cat dinner, and I didn't know how to reach my friends, and it was probably about 8:40. So I started exploring the perimeter. I went around to first the sliding doors, because that was the most obvious thing. Sliding doors, locked. Went around to the side living room screen window, totally locked. Went all the way around the back of the house, checked the tiny little cat window, locked. Went around to the back kitchen window, covered in spider webs, climbed my way through, totally locked. Made several circles around the house, made a couple circles back to the door to see if maybe I had made a mistake. And every time I checked it, I thought maybe it would magically be open. And finally, I thought I have to get that ladder. I vaguely remembered Brian's instructions: go around the back of the house, grab the tall ladder, put it up next to the 20-foot wall, climb up to the window, take the screen out, and throw yourself into bed. So I went around back and I grabbed a ladder, and I didn't think it was the ladder that I needed to get, but it was the only ladder I saw, and it was a pyramid-style ladder, and I took it around to the wall that leads up to the bedroom window. It's a sheer wall with nothing to grab onto. And I set the ladder up in front of this window, and it was a little bit wobbly, and the ground there was a little bit wobbly, and I thought, that's not really stable to climb onto, but maybe I can set it up in a good way to climb on. And I looked up at the space between the top of the ladder, the very top of the ladder, and the window, and there was a good 8 feet left at the top there. And I thought, Brian's 6'3" and kind of athletic and likes challenges that I don't really like, and maybe he's done this before anyway. But it didn't look safe, even for him. So, scrapped that theory, put that ladder back away, made several more circles around the house, checked every window again, checked the door again, went in and out of the boot room a couple of times, feeling hopeful, and suddenly, I found a window. I found a window that was slightly open, and the screen was a little popped out. And it wasn't very high off the ground, and I thought, how did I miss that the first 7 or 8 times? So So I decided to go in this window, and it was just a little bit high for me. It seemed almost too easy, and I grabbed our ice chest and set the ice chest up on some rocks underneath this window, climbed up onto the ice chest, pulled the screen out, put the screen on the ground, slid the window open, and examined the shelves that were underneath me. The top shelf had a row of glass bottles, and the bottom shelf had a row of shoes, and that seemed really doable. And there were some shoes on the floor that I needed to jump over, but that was all right. So I slid all the glass bottles over to the side, and I tested the shelf and made sure it was sturdy, and I climbed up onto the edge of the window and stepped over the side and paused on the edge of the shelf and looked around. I thought, it's about 3 feet over those shoes. I can jump over those shoes. So I counted 1, 2, 3, and I jumped, and I landed, and I felt really solid and really successful. And I looked to the left, and I saw the open boot room door. And I looked to the right, and I saw the closed kitchen door. And I looked to the left, and I saw the open boot room door. I looked to the right, and I saw the closed kitchen door. I looked to the left, and I realized what I had done. And I looked to the right, and I asked myself, what am I trying to teach myself right now? I just jumped through the open boot room that I've been in and out 4 times already. And it dawned on me in a flash that this is what I had been doing in my life. I had been making tremendous effort that seemed really productive and really successful towards things that weren't actually getting me closer to my goal, but made me feel like I was really doing something. And I walked back out of the boot room, and I looked up at that 20-foot sheer wall towards the bedroom window, and I recognized that that was the window that I had to go through. There was no getting around it. And I thought it must be at least 9 o'clock by now, and where the heck was Georgia? She was supposed to be here by now, and she would know what to do. But she wasn't coming, and I thought I could just sit on the stoop and wait for her, because she would be able to help me when she got there. But my phone was inside, and I wondered if she had maybe texted me and said, actually, I'm not coming. And then I would have sat there for hours. I could have camped out in the boot room. Our refrigerator's in there, our camping gear's in there. I would have had a cold dinner and a sleeping bag, and it would have been fine, but it didn't seem like a really good idea. So I knew I had to find the tall ladder. So I made another circle around the perimeter of the house, and this time, just like the first window, I saw the tall ladder just sticking out the side behind the compost, and I'd never used the tall ladder before, but I went and picked it up and shimmied it out from behind a bunch of branches, and there were spiders crawling all over between all the rungs of the ladder, and it was almost too tall and too heavy for me to manage, but I got it around the corner and down the stone steps, and I started propping it up against the wall, and I realized that the feet were wonky, so one pointed down and one pointed up, and the ladder was a little topsy-turvy, and I didn't know how to make it stay extended. But this was the ladder I had to climb. So I futzed with it for a few more minutes, sorted out the feet, got it on stable ground, put it up against the wall, and gave it a little shake, and it seemed okay, and I stepped onto the first rung, and I thought, I should give it another little shake to make sure it's not going to hurl me back into the shed behind me. So I gave it a shake, and it seemed okay, so I stepped onto the second rung, and I thought, you're really never supposed to climb tall ladders by yourself. Maybe Georgia will be here soon. But I let that go, because I knew I had to do this by myself, and she might not come, so I stepped onto the third rung, and I thought, I can do this. This is going to be okay. Why haven't my neighbors realized yet that I'm trying to break into my own house? No, I can do this. This is okay. So I stepped on to the 4th step, and the 5th step, and the 6th, and the 7th, and all the way up to the 10th step, and I got about 19 feet in the air, and I looked down, and I thought, I wonder what it would be like if I broke my femur on that concrete down there by myself at night next to my own doorstep. And then I thought, that's not a good thing to think while you're all the way up here, so I stepped up onto the 11th step, and I was there. The edge of the window was available. I could shimmy the screen out, so I wiggled it out with a little more effort than I thought I was going to have to, and I shoved my lamp over to the side, and I grabbed onto the edge, and I thought, this is my moment. There's no going back, and I pushed myself up and hurled myself over, dust flying everywhere, landed in my bed, and I thought, I'm in! I made it in, I found the right window. And I went downstairs, and I let the cat out, got the cat some dinner, took a shower, washed all the cobwebs out of my hair. And I understood then that it may be true that when God closes a door, she opens a window, but you just have to remember that sometimes It's not that low, easy window that you really hope it's going to be. Sometimes you have to climb a 20-foot ladder up a sheer wall by yourself and hurl yourself over a dusty window ledge into your own house. But if you have strong determination and a little bit of luck, you'll make it. Thank you.